This is WSPR Scheduler. It enables you to program 2-minute transmission time slots for WSPR, potentially at the same time each hour over a number of days. And it can automatically change the frequency of your transceiver. And if you've got an automatic antenna switch, you can change antenna as well. And you can also connect it to an auto tuner to get it to tune the antenna before transmission. Now, if you want to configure it, you go to TX configuration. The first thing you will have to do is to put in your call sign. Now, this could be a simple call sign, standard, or it could be a compound call sign if you're running portable, for example. If it is going to be a portable call sign or a compound call sign, you need to allow type 2 or 3 messages, and they could either be sent as 1 or 2 messages. But if you've just got a standard call sign, you just need to send type 1 messages. Next thing you'll need to put in is a default offset. So normally WSPR transmissions, the transmitter is modulated with a frequency between 1400 and 1600 hertz. So in this case, if you've got an offset of 25 hertz, that means the audio frequency I'm going to send to the transceiver is going to be 1425 hertz in this case. I need to select a default power level in dBms, translated to watts. I need to select a default frequency from the list of WSPR frequencies. And also an antenna. If I've got more than one antenna, I can select one which I want to be my default. I also need to put in my maidenhead locator. Now this can be the 4 or 6 digits. Now if it is 6 digits and I want to transmit those, I also again need to allow type 2 or 3 messages. But if I'm just going to use a 4-digit locator and the standard call sign, it's just type 1 messages. Now I may want to update my WSPR database password, so I can do that if I want to. And I can conduct a number of tests, so I can select a frequency from the list to run the test on, and I can do a test of the transmitter and press the talk. That will just send an unmodulated signal. Or I can do an actual WSPR transmission test, and it will wait for the next start of the next WSPR time slot before transmitting a WSPR signal. And I can also test the audio, the WSPR audio. I can change the Gaussian filter value of my transmitter, so when I'm encoding signals, I can change the filter. That will adjust the bandwidth. We want to try and minimize the bandwidth. I can also test the encoding of the message types and the slot numbers. If I want to, I can test connection to an Arduino as well. Now the next thing is, if I go to rig control rigs, in here I want to install hamlib first of all, and I want to find the path to the hamlib bin folder. So that's normally in program files in the hamlib folder, and we're looking for the rig control daemon, which is normally in that bin folder. We need to save that path and then append that path to the normal Windows path. And we also need to select our COM port for cat control and also the baud rate. We then also need to make sure we select the correct transceiver from a long list of transceivers. If we're not going to use rig control, we can also we'd have to change the frequency manually on our transceiver, then in which case we need to check this box. But in most cases we'll want to use rig control to select things like the frequency on our transceiver. Now if we go to frequencies and antennas, we can select the different WSPR frequencies, and if we edit we can see that we can adjust the audio level. So that gives us some control over the power levels. They might differ on different bands, so we might need to do some fine tuning. And over to antennas, we can put in our antennas in here. We may have several. In this case you can see I have a number, and if I select this antenna here, you can see it's got a description, and it's connected to an automatic antenna switch, switch number 2 in this case, and it's port number 1 on the antenna switch. I'm not using a tuner in this case, but I could use an auto tuner. So if I go to switches and tuners, and I look at switch 2, you can see that it's connected using a COM port using the serial interface, and it's connected to a W410A antenna switch selectable by commands. So I need to make sure I've got the right COM port, set the baud rate and other serial port settings, and I've got 4 antenna ports on that particular switch. If I look at switch 1, you'll see this is uses an Arduino, and the antenna is selectable. The port number is selectable on the Arduino pins, the data pins. And we're connecting using TCP, so we need a port number and IP address. And being a modern Arduino, we can also connect wirelessly to that. Now, I'm not using a tuner at the moment, but if I were to set up a tuner, I could either connect to it using the serial interface, or I could connect using TCP or UDP, in which case I'd need to specify a port number and IP address. And I could just activate the tuner using a data pin on an Arduino to do that. If I go to RX and sound config, you can see here that I need an audio output device. So this will be fed to the audio of the transmitter to modulated transmission, and so that's normally the speaker output on my PC. Now, when I'm receiving, I need audio input from the receiver, and this is either mic or line in, and I can adjust the audio level coming into my PC from here as well. And I need to make sure that I'm using, I can find the Whisper daemon for decoding purposes. That's normally in the whisper_sched folder, but I can change it if I want to. If I make any changes to any of the settings, I need to make sure I save those settings. Now, if we go to slots, we want to program a slot now. So let's locate a slot. If we find an empty slot, we'll double click on it. And you see I've got a default frequency. I can change that if I want to. So let's go for 14 megs. I can change the offset if I want to as well. I can also change the power level. I can change the antenna. And I can also get the slot to repeat at the same time each day. Up to I could select it for, say, up to the end of December in this case. And I can also get it to repeat for the same minutes between the start and end time from now, that is, up to, say, midnight. Or I could repeat from sunrise to sunset. Now I can set an offset between 0 up to 180 minutes. So if it's between sunrise to sunset, then if I set an offset of, say, 60 minutes, then it means that it will start transmitting 60 minutes before sunrise, and then it will continue to transmit for 60 minutes after sunset. On the other hand, if I go from sunset to sunrise, as I might do on lower frequencies, then if I have an offset in minutes of 60 minutes, it will start transmitting 60 minutes before sunset, and then again it will continue transmitting 60 minutes after sunrise. Or I can get this slot to repeat over the next 24 hours, regardless of whether it's sunrise or sunset. So if I do that, I'll select that. Now, I can either have the slot activated, in which case this will be a transmission slot, or if I uncheck the activate slot box, it will be a receive slot, and then I will start to receive transmissions from other stations on that slot, and they will be decoded at the end of the 2 minutes. So I'm going to activate this slot. This is a transmission slot, and what's going to happen is that when the time reaches that slot, it will actually switch on the transmitter and start transmitting. As you can see here at the moment, we're transmitting. Now, if I want to delete a slot, I just highlight the slot, right click on it, and I say delete slot. And I can also delete those repeating slots as well, and they're gone. Now, within the Whisper schedule, I've also got a reception window. So when I'm not transmitting, I'm receiving, and you can see here that I've got a list of transmission calls that I've received on various Whisper frequencies, and I can upload those spots to the WhisperNet website so that other stations can see that information. I can also change the depth of the search. So if I make this depth of search a bit deeper, then it's going to take longer to decode transmissions at the end of 2 minutes. And I can also filter based upon band. I can filter based upon date and time. I can also put in a core filter, and I can also use wildcards. If I put VK in there, it would show me stations beginning VK, which would be Australian stations. I can specify by minimum and maximum distance as well. Now, the other thing that I may want to show is the I can also interrogate. This is another tool. This is called WSPR Scheduler Live, and I can interrogate the WSPR.live database on the WSPR.live website. And these are reports of my transmission from other stations that I'm downloading here. And so you can see that there's my call and there's the reporter. Those are the stations that have reported my signals from around the world. And again, I can filter based upon band, by date and time, by call, and by minimum and maximum distance. I can also, if I want to, I can also I can also interrogate the database, the WSPR.live database, for other calls as well, but they won't be stored in the local database. My calls will be stored locally, and this information is updated every few minutes. Now, another tool is the WSPR Scheduler Map. Now, this will actually display that information, so it displays the received signals that I've received, the received reports that I've sent up to WSPRnet, and it also displays the information that I've interrogated from WSPR.live about people that have received my transmissions, and it's displayed on this map. I can filter by period, time period, from 10 minutes up to 2 days. I can filter by band. I can filter by transmissions only or reception only. I can also declutter, so I can remove stations that are close in to my signal to make it not appear quite so busy. I can filter on, I can remove special calls that balloons might use, and I can also track. So every few minutes it will update this map. Now, another tool available within the suite of tools is WSPR Scheduler Solar. Now, this interrogates the NOAA database in the United States. It will display the K indices over 3-hour periods throughout the day, the planetary and those from Boulder itself in the United States. And it will also display the estimated planetary A index as well, and also give an approximate activity level. And it monitors the solar flux index, and it will give an approximation to propagation conditions, and it will also indicate the state of the sun, whether it's active or there are storms, for example. And also it will actually interrogate the NOAA database, and it will be able to report whether there are any storms, which might be geomagnetic storms, which depends on the high KP index, or radiation storms, depending on the proton flux, or radio blackouts, which depends on solar flares. Now, if I want to see more information, I go to the database, and those daily planetary A indexes are stored in the database on a daily basis, and also the 3-hourly K indexes. But I can also look at the proton flux levels, and I can also look at solar flares and also radio bursts, and that's stored in the database locally on a daily basis. And I can look at a current summary of that information as well. And if I go back to the current data, I can also get a forecast, and I get this forecast from hamqsl.com. And that gives us an indication of expected propagation conditions for today. And that really summarises the WSPR Scheduler.